I believe New York has sent a message to this nation loud and clear. It is time for marriage equality all across this country.
Welcome back to Harvard. That's New York State Governor Andrew Cuomo celebrating his state's vote to legalize same-sex marriage. In 2004, Republicans successfully used gay marriage as a wedge issue against Democrats. Well, they tried to do the same playbook in 2012. Can it still work? Ross Levi is the executive director of the Empire State Pride Agenda. Ken Blackwell, a senior fellow at the Family Research Council. He's the former Ohio Secretary of State and author of Resurgent, How Constitutional Conservatism Can Save America. Ken, will you guys use this issue against the Democrats next year?
I think it would weaken the moral authority of our argument. We will defend traditional marriage as a
Will you use it as an election issue?
Like I said, I think that it's the president that is going to use it as an election year. He's going to turn the page away from his inability to create jobs.
How so?
Well, as he's going to turn the page and put the emphasis on, same-sex marriage.
Well, wait a minute. He said he's evolving on the issue. He hasn't even come out for same-sex.
Well, he's evolving on the issue.
You think he'll come out for it?
Yes, I think he's rushing.
Okay, maybe that's probably good news to Ross Levi. Ross, I've watched politicians like in Ohio in the 2004 election with the help of Don King, the fight promoter, get black clergymen up in Cleveland, the Cleveland area, to get their flocks to vote against the Democratic candidate John Kerry on that issue. They got the vote out. They create a lot of rumble and excitement about the evils of same-sex marriage in communities that are very much in need of more marriages, obviously, because they're unstable in many ways, some of the families. But here's the question. Are you concerned that the Republican Party will use this as a wedge issue, what's happened in New York, against President Obama?
I think that's largely a tactic whose time has come and gone. As more and more LGBT Americans have come out to their families, their friends, their coworkers, their parishioners, we're now real people. It's not as simple as just looking at this as an abstract issue. And you're actually asking people in some cases to vote against their kids or vote against people they care about. That makes it hard to make this just a purely political wedge issue.
But what about in more conservative areas among older voters?
Well, actually, we've actually found that both younger and older voters understand this issue. And one of my coworkers said when this passed in New York, the first call she got was from her grandmother that said, "Congratulations, I'm so happy." I think older folks understand at the end of life what matters in life. It's love, it's family, and we certainly know with younger voters this is a
you're
big
my
issue.
kind of guy. You're an optimist. I know an optimist when I see you. And you're not you're not afraid at all that in the more conservative areas where this election will be decided, Indiana, Ohio, Virginia, North Carolina, states that probably are not going to be on the cutting edge of this issue, they're not going to try to use it against your interests.
They may try to use it. What I'm really concerned with, are they going to be successful in using it? When we know that independents and Democrats are firmly in favor of this, this is a motivating issue for those voters, actually. Some of the biggest applause lines Andrew Cuomo got when he was running for governor, and I heard a lot of times when he didn't even know I was in the crowd, was around marriage equality. And
so Glee will meet, not to be comical about it, will Glee beat fear?
I think so. I think in general, Americans understand fairness, and like I said, this is now about real people, and Americans want to be on the side of love.
Can't respond.
Chris, look, Florida, North Carolina, Ohio, Michigan, Indiana, the people have spoken, and they've spoken through the ballot box. And I tell you,
against marriage, against same-sex,
against same-sex marriage, in defense of traditional marriage. I think the president has to be worried about two demographic groups: white women over 55 and white working class voters. And that's because he, in fact, should be focused on job creation as opposed to advancing the cause of same-sex marriage.
But he hasn't been out front on this. Let me ask you, Ross, has the president been out front on this issue of same-sex marriage? I don't even think he's for it.
No, right now he's not, although it's interesting. I think most Americans think he is. But he certainly has been talking about evolving on this issue.
That's absolutely, Chris.
And in fact, I think the president actually, has everything to gain and nothing to lose by coming out in support of this. Look, those that are going to vote against him are already going to vote against him. This isn't going to change their mind. This is the president that decided, I'm not going to defend the Defense of Marriage Act. I'm going to repeal Don't Ask, Don't Tell. I'm going to pass the hate crimes law. Right now, what he stands to gain is those Democrats and independents.
Okay, one question. Are you going to advise your party not to make the issue of opposing same-sex marriage a part of your platform this year?
No, I'm not. I think
you want it in the platform.
I want defending traditional marriage in the platform. I think it is the essential building block to our civilization. Look, Chris, in all of Western civilization, you know, there have been societies that have celebrated homosexuality, the ancient Greeks, but they in fact protected the institution of marriage as a union between one man and one woman. They got the joke, and the American people got the joke.
Thank you. You've heard the argument, ladies and gentlemen. I think it will matter in this election. I wish you were more, well, you are an optimist, Ross. I hope you're right. Ross Levi, and thank you, Ken Blackwell. As always, you've stated the case.